Funny thing about winning, nobody tells you what it actually sounds like when it happens. There's no applause, no fireworks, no crowd lifting you up on their shoulders. It's quieter than that, almost uncomfortable. Because the moment you win, every excuse you were holding on to loses its purpose. You don't get to blame the world anymore. You don't get to say you were unlucky or unseen. You're standing in the space you asked for. And suddenly the air feels heavier, because now it's on you. Winning doesn't knock. It barges in and flips the table. 1 second you're explaining why things haven't worked out yet, and the next second those explanations sound hollow even to you. The moment you win, excuses evaporate. Not because someone confronts you, but because reality does. The world stops listening to your reasons and starts watching your results. That's the cruel joke of success. It doesn't argue, it exposes. Before winning, excuses feel like armor. They protect you from judgment, from disappointment, from having to look too closely at yourself. You tell yourself you're waiting for the right time, the right support, the right sign. Those stories keep you comfortable while you delay. But winning strips that armor off in public. Suddenly there's nowhere to hide. Because the thing you said you wanted is standing right in front of you, staring back. People love the idea of winning because they imagine it will justify everything they didn't do. They think success will validate their shortcuts, their laziness, their fear. It doesn't. It does the opposite. It shines a light so bright that every excuse looks ridiculous. You can't say you didn't have resources anymore. You can't say nobody believed in you. You can't say the system was stacked against you. You're holding the proof in your hands. Winning is instant responsibility. The second you cross that line, your past explanations lose their power. You don't get credit for struggle anymore. Nobody cares how hard it was to get here. All that matters is what you do now that you've arrived. That shift hits people harder than failure ever did. Failure lets you talk. Winning demands silence and action. Excuses thrive in potential. As long as something is theoretical, you can explain endlessly. When the dream becomes real, theory dies. You either rise to the level of what you've achieved, or you collapse under it. Winning doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It assumes you are, and if you're not, it won't soften the consequences. There's panic hidden inside victory that nobody warns you about. When excuses disappear, so does comfort. You realize how much of your identity was built on almost, on someday, on trying. Winning removes that identity and leaves you exposed. You're no longer the underdog with reasons. You're the one with the result, and now every move is measured. People around you change too. Some stop giving you sympathy, others stop giving you advice. A few start waiting for you to fail quietly, patiently. Winning removes your ability to blend in. Your excuse is used to make you relatable. Now your position makes you visible. Visibility is dangerous when you're still attached to old habits. Excuses don't just disappear externally, they collapse internally. You hear yourself thinking differently. You catch the lies before they finish forming. You notice how often you used to negotiate with yourself, promising effort tomorrow in exchange for comfort today. Winning ends that negotiation. There is no tomorrow credit. There is only maintenance, growth, or decay. The strange part is that winning doesn't feel like triumph at first. It feels like pressure, like the walls closing in. Because excuses were spacious. They gave you room to breathe. Winning is tight. It demands precision. It demands consistency. It demands that you become the kind of person your result suggests you are. Some people try to drag their excuses into their winning phase. They say things like, "This is just temporary," or "I'll slow down later," or "I deserve to relax now." Those excuses don't age well. Winning magnifies them until they become self-sabotage. The higher you stand, the louder every weakness echoes. Winning doesn't give you permission to be careless. It removes your right to be careless. When you were losing, mistakes were expected. When you're winning, mistakes are expensive. That's when people realize they didn't actually want success, they wanted relief. Relief comes from excuses. Success comes with weight. The moment you win, the narrative changes. You're no longer explaining why you haven't started. You're explaining why you're stopping, why you're slipping, why you're not protecting what you worked so hard to get. Excuses sound thinner on this side. They don't convince anyone, especially not you. Winning is a mirror that doesn't flatter. It reflects exactly who you are when comfort is gone and expectation is high. It shows whether your discipline was real or borrowed from desperation, whether your confidence was earned or imagined, whether your hunger was about growth or escape. The instant winning happens, excuses lose their function. They're still there, whispering, but they have no authority. You can hear them, but you can't obey them anymore. Because once you've tasted what's possible, pretending you don't know better becomes the most dangerous lie of all dreams. Don't tap you on the shoulder politely while you're comfortable. They don't whisper encouragement while you're relaxed and safe. They start the moment comfort breaks, when the chair you've been sitting in too long starts to feel like a trap. Comfort is quiet, warm, familiar, and dangerous because it convinces you that nothing needs to change while everything slowly rots. People romanticize comfort like it's a reward, like stability means you've arrived. But comfort is where ambition goes to sleep. It numbs urgency. It teaches you routines that feel productive but don't move anything forward. You wake up, repeat, distract yourself, and call it peace. Dreams don't grow in that environment, they suffocate there. The first sign a dream is forming is discomfort, restlessness, irritation with routines that used to satisfy you, a strange pressure in your chest when you realize your days look the same. That discomfort isn't a problem, it's a signal. Comfort tells you to quiet it down, to be grateful, to not rock the boat. Dreams tell you to listen closely, because something inside you is tired of pretending this is enough. Comfort lies by telling you that safety equals happiness. It teaches you to protect what you have instead of pursuing what you could become. Dreams require risk, and risk feels like chaos to a comfortable mind. That's why people attack their own dreams with logic. They call it realism. They say things like, be patient, be reasonable, don't rush. Comfort always speaks in calm tones while it slowly buries your potential. The moment you step out of comfort, everything gets louder. Doubt shows up immediately. Fear starts narrating every move. People around you suddenly have opinions. That's not coincidence. Comfort kept you invisible. Discomfort makes you noticeable. Dreams don't care if you feel ready. They care if you're willing to be uncomfortable long enough to grow. Comfort makes time feel endless. You think you can start tomorrow, next year, someday. Dreams collapse time. They make you aware of how much you've already delayed. That awareness hurts, and company. Fort rushes in to numb it. It offers distractions, excuses, and familiar habits. Dreams reject all of that. They demand presence. They demand that you feel the weight of wasted time, so you stop wasting more. Leaving comfort doesn't feel brave. It feels stupid at first. You question yourself. You wonder why you're giving up predictability for uncertainty. Comfort keeps receipts. It reminds you of everything you could lose. Dreams don't argue back with guarantees. They only offer possibility, and possibility is terrifying when you're used to certainty. Most people don't fail their dreams. They retreat back to comfort at the first sign of pain. They mistake discomfort for danger. They interpret resistance as a warning instead of a test. Comfort welcomes them back without judgment, and that's the cruelest part. It doesn't punish you. It just slowly erases the version of you that wanted more. Dreams reshape you through discomfort. They force you to confront weaknesses. Comfort helped you ignore. Discipline you never needed suddenly becomes necessary. Confidence you fake gets exposed. Comfort allowed you to survive as you were. Dreams require transformation, and transformation hurts because it breaks familiar identities. When comfort ends, excuses lose their power. You can't hide behind routine anymore. You can't say this is just how life is. You're face to face with your choices. That moment feels like standing under harsh light with nowhere to look away. Dreams don't let you dim that light. They make you stand there until you either step forward or run back. Comfort teaches you to manage life. Dreams teach you to confront it. Managing keeps things stable. Confronting changes things. Stability feels mature. Change feels reckless. That's why people admire dreams from a distance but rarely chase them. Comfort is socially acceptable. Discomfort makes people uneasy, especially when it reminds them of what they avoided. Dreams don't begin with confidence. They begin with discomfort you refuse to numb, with nights where sleep doesn't come easily because your mind won't stop asking harder questions, with mornings where routine feels unbearable. That tension isn't weakness, it's pressure building before movement. Comfort tells you to calm down. Dreams tell you to wake up. Comfort says don't ruin what you have. Dreams say you're already ruining what you could be by staying still. Comfort keeps you intact. Dreams tear you apart and rebuild you into someone unfamiliar. Every meaningful dream starts the same way, with the end of comfort and the beginning of unease. That uneasy feeling isn't your enemy. It's the doorway. It's the moment where pretending stops working and becoming starts demanding. A price. Responsibility follows success like a shadow you can't outrun. People celebrate the spotlight but forget it burns as much as it shines. The moment something works out for you, the world silently rewrites the rules. Sympathy disappears, patience dries up, expectations replace encouragement. Success doesn't ask if you're ready for that switch, it flips it anyway. Before success, people tolerate your flaws. They explain them away. They say you're learning, you're growing, you're on your way. After success, those same flaws look like threats. The room gets quieter, mistakes get heavier. You feel it in how people pause before responding, and how praise turns into observation. Responsibility shows up without warning and starts counting everything. Success removes the luxury of being careless. When you had nothing, errors were harmless. When you have something, every mistake costs credibility, trust, momentum. Responsibility doesn't yell about this. It just keeps score. It watches how you manage pressure, how you treat people when you're no longer desperate, how disciplined you are when motivation fades. People think responsibility means obligation to others. That's only half of it. The deeper responsibility is to the version of yourself that earned the success. You're responsible for not betraying that effort, not wasting the sacrifice, not turning discipline into arrogance or hunger into laziness. That internal responsibility is heavier than public expectations because you can't hide from it. Success also attracts attention, and attention brings judgment. People assume you know what you're doing now. They assume confidence equals competence. Responsibility forces you to either rise into that assumption or collapse under it. There's no neutral ground. You're either growing fast enough to carry what you've gained, or you're slowly becoming a warning story. With success comes influence, even if you never asked for it. People watch how you move, what you tolerate, what you excuse. Responsibility means understanding that your behavior teaches even when you're silent. Every shortcut you take becomes permission for someone else. Every standard you drop becomes a new baseline. That awareness can feel suffocating if you're still attached to old habits. Success exposes gaps you didn't know existed. Skills that got you here might not keep you here. Responsibility demands learning again, humbling yourself again, feeling incompetent again. That cycle frustrates people who thought winning meant rest. Responsibility says rest later, adaptation now. There's a loneliness that comes with responsibility that nobody advertises. Fewer people relate to your problems. Complaining sounds ungrateful. Asking for help feels risky because everyone assumes you figured it out. Responsibility isolates you in ways failure never did. At least failure gave you community. Success gives you distance. Responsibility also sharpens consequences. When you fail after success, the fall is louder. People remember your peak while watching your decline. That memory adds weight to every decision. You become more cautious, sometimes too cautious. Responsibility doesn't protect you from fear. It dares you to act anyway with clearer stakes. Success removes the excuse of ignorance. You can't say you didn't know better. You've seen what discipline can do. You've tasted what focus produces. Responsibility demands consistency now, not curiosity. You're no longer experimenting. You're maintaining and expanding. That shift from exploration to execution breaks people who love the chase more than the work. There's a strange temptation after success to coast, to tell yourself you've earned ease. Responsibility calls that temptation what it is, decay disguised as reward. Momentum doesn't pause politely. It either grows or dies. Responsibility keeps reminding you that what you don't actively protect will erode quietly. Success also reveals character cracks. Pressure amplifies personality. If you were insecure before, success makes you defensive. If you were generous before, success makes you influential. Responsibility forces you to confront those amplifications. It doesn't allow you to stay neutral. You become more of whatever you already were. People often ask what's next after success. Responsibility doesn't answer that question. It replaces it. The question becomes, who must you become to deserve what you already have? That question doesn't go away. It repeats every day in decisions, habits, boundaries, discipline. Responsibility isn't glamorous. It doesn't trend. It doesn't feel exciting. It feels like weight on your shoulders when nobody's watching. It feels like choosing restraint over impulse, preparation over ego, long-term respect over short-term praise. Success gives you access. Responsibility decides whether you keep it. AC. Success without responsibility turns into embarrassment. Opportunity without discipline turns into exposure. Responsibility follows success not to punish you, but to test whether your growth was real or situational. The truth people avoid is that success doesn't change your life as much as it reveals it. Responsibility just makes that revelation impossible to ignore. Identity doesn't survive victory intact. The version of you that was chasing can't live in the life that's been won. People don't talk about that part. They talk about goals, outcomes, rewards. They don't talk about the quiet identity crisis that follows success when the old story no longer fits and the new one hasn't formed yet. Before the win, your identity is clear. You're the one trying, the one grinding, the one dreaming. Struggle gives you a role and a script. People know how to see you. You know how to explain yourself. After victory, that script burns. You're no longer becoming. You are. And that shift feels unsettling because now your actions define you more than your intentions ever did. Success removes the shield of effort. You can't hide behind hard work anymore. Effort used to excuse imperfection. It bought patience from others and mercy from yourself. After the win, effort is expected, not admired. Identity shifts from someone who is trying to someone who is responsible. That transition breaks people who were emotionally attached to being the underdog. There's comfort in being underestimated. It lowers expectations. It lets you surprise people. When you win, that comfort disappears. Expectations rise instantly, and your identity is recalibrated by everyone around you. They expect consistency, clarity, leadership. Even if you never asked for that role, it's assigned to you. The hardest part is internal. You've told yourself for so long that happiness is on the other side of achievement. When you arrive and the noise fades, You realize happiness isn't automatic. Identity built on pursuit doesn't know what to do when there's nothing left to chase. That's when restlessness returns, sharper and more confusing than before. Winning exposes how much of your identity was fueled by resistance. You were strong because things were hard. You were focused because there was something to escape. When the pressure lifts, the adrenaline drops, and you're left facing yourself without the urgency that shaped you. Some people miss the struggle because it told them who they were. Success also changes how people treat you, and that feedback reshapes identity whether you like it or not. Praise starts to sound generic. Criticism feels sharper. Silence feels louder. You notice who stays, who competes, who withdraws. That social shift forces you to redefine yourself without external validation. Identity after victory becomes a choice instead of a reaction. Before, circumstances shaped you. Now, you shape yourself. That freedom is heavier than constraint. Constraints gave you excuses. Freedom demands intention. You can no longer blame the environment for who you are becoming. There's a temptation to freeze your identity at the moment of winning, to protect the image that finally worked. That's fear disguised as preservation. Identity that stops evolving starts decaying. Winning isn't a finish line, it's a relocation. You've moved into a new environment that requires a different version of you. People who cling to their old identity sabotage themselves quietly. They keep acting like they're still proving something. They stay defensive. They over-explain. They chase validation they no longer need. That behavior creates cracks, and those cracks widen under pressure. Identity also affects discipline. When you saw yourself as someone becoming successful, discipline felt heroic. After success, discipline feels maintenance. Maintenance isn't glamorous. It doesn't come with applause. It's invisible work done to prevent decline. Identity has to shift from builder to protector, and that shift demands maturity. Winning also forces you to confront authenticity. Some habits worked because they were fueled by fear or desperation. Those habits don't translate well into a stable environment. Identity must be rebuilt around values instead of survival. That rebuild feels awkward because values don't scream, they whisper. There's a quiet moment after victory where you realize nobody is coming to tell you who to be next. No roadmap, no countdown, no coach shouting instructions. Identity becomes self-authored. That's thrilling and terrifying at the same time. People often think success answers questions. It doesn't. It changes them. Instead of asking, "Can I do this?" you ask, "Should I continue this?" Instead of asking, "Will this work?" you ask, "What does this cost me now?" Those questions reshape identity slowly, decision by decision. The most dangerous lie after winning is thinking you've arrived as a finished person. Identity isn't a trophy you place on a shelf. It's a system that needs constant recalibration. Winning just exposes whether you're willing to do that work without the motivation of escape. When identity shifts after victory, it feels like losing something even as you gain everything. You lose the story you told yourself. You lose the version of you that survived on hunger. What you gain is the chance to become deliberate instead of reactive, grounded instead of driven, intentional instead of desperate. That transition is where most people stumble, not because they failed, but because they didn't expect success to demand a different self than the one that chased it. Pressure doesn't announce itself with noise. It sneaks in quietly and replaces anticipation. Before nothing happens, anticipation feels exciting. It's light, full of fantasy, full of imagined outcomes where everything works perfectly. Anticipation lets you dream without consequences. Pressure arrives when dreaming stops being enough. It's the moment imagination is replaced by expectation, and expectation doesn't care how you feel. Anticipation is comfortable because it lives in the future. You can shape it however you like. You can tell yourself stories about who you'll be, how people will react, how easy it will feel once you get there. Pressure lives in the present. It demands action now, decisions now, consistency now. There's no editing pressure. It's raw and unforgiving. People chase anticipation because it feels like progress without effort. You can sit still and feel hopeful. You can talk about plans and feel important. Pressure destroys that illusion. It asks, what have you done today? Not what are you planning tomorrow? That shift is where many people panic, because anticipation made them feel alive, and pressure makes them feel exposed. When anticipation fades, reality sharpens. Suddenly timing matters. Words matter. Small mistakes matter. Pressure magnifies everything. The things you ignored while dreaming become problems you must solve while awake. Habits you tolerated become liabilities. Weak discipline stops being a private flaw and turns into a visible risk. Pressure doesn't care about your motivation. It doesn't wait for confidence. It doesn't slow down when you're tired. That's why people resent it. They think it's unfair. They say things like, this shouldn't be this hard. That complaint comes from someone who expected anticipation to last forever. Pressure is the bill that arrives after hope. Anticipation makes you feel special. Pressure makes you feel ordinary. Under pressure, you realize nobody is coming to rescue you. No one is impressed by why. Oh, might do. They're watching what you repeat. That realization feels insulting to the ego because ego thrives on potential. Pressure only respects proof. People often confuse pressure with punishment. It's not, it's alignment. It aligns your results with your behavior. If you prepared, pressure sharpens you. If you avoided the work, pressure exposes you. It doesn't create weakness, it reveals it. That revelation feels cruel only if you were lying to yourself before. Anticipation gives you energy spikes. Pressure demands endurance. Anyone can be excited for a moment. Very few can stay steady when excitement disappears. Pressure asks for emotional control, not emotional highs. It demands boring consistency in a world addicted to stimulation. Under pressure, your true priorities surface. You stop pretending everything matters equally. You find out what you're willing to sacrifice and what you refuse to touch. Pressure reorganizes your values without asking permission. It forces choices you kept postponing during anticipation. There's a reason people miss the phase before things worked out. Anticipation was forgiving. Pressure is precise. Anticipation let you fail privately. Pressure makes failure visible. That visibility scares people more than the work itself. Pressure also changes relationships. Some people only liked you when you were dreaming because dreams are harmless. Pressure makes you serious, focused, unavailable. It disrupts dynamics built on distraction. Some people drift away not because you changed, but because pressure didn't leave room for them anymore. Anticipation is noisy. Pressure is silent. No cheering, no countdown, no background music, just decisions stacking on top of each other. That silence messes with people who relied on validation to move forward. Pressure doesn't clap, it waits. Pressure teaches restraint. Under anticipation, you talk a L-O-T. You explain, you share, you promise. Under pressure, you choose your words carefully. You move quietly. You understand that attention isn't always helpful. That shift feels lonely, but it's necessary. The body reacts to pressure before the mind accepts it. Tension, fatigue, irritability. That's when people try to escape back into anticipation, into planning, into fantasizing about what's next instead of dealing with what's now. Pressure doesn't follow you there. It waits until you come back. Pressure replaces anticipation because anticipation has done its job. It got you moving. Pressure is what keeps you standing. Without it, results collapse. With it, character forms. Pressure teaches you who you are when comfort is gone and expectations are real. People who survive pressure don't romanticize it. They respect it. They understand it's not something to defeat, but something to carry properly. They stop asking when it will end and start asking how to move with it without breaking. Anticipation was the invitation. Pressure is the responsibility. One feels good, the other makes you real.